And we're live. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl, and Bad Bunny absolutely fucking kicked ass during the halftime show Monday morning. I am Lawrence Winnerman. This is the Daily Whatever Show, but you will notice something different today. My beautiful co host, Dana Dubois, is not here. She may be here. She may be awake. She may be watching the show uh, from her bed on her phone and commenting with us today. But this is a different show. So, for those of you who don't know, Dana and I have come up with a little plan to add some variety to the Daily Whatever show. I mean, it's kind of a variety show. It's not like we really lack that, but we each wanted a day to address things that were really near and dear to us. And so, even though I am a feminist, Dana is taking Thursdays every Thursday from now on to have a show called Fine Feminist, and she will be having guests on to talk about feminist issues. I will be there supporting in the chat. And every Monday is my day, and I get to host a show that I am calling Not Straightforward. It is a show on queer topics, and I will tell you the truth. I was really, really attached to the name Ask Me How I Know until I discovered that there's already an entire podcast. Somebody owns the handle on Substack. Like, that is just not available. And so that's actually going to be the theme for the first couple of weeks. And the show itself, I decided to call Not Straightforward, which I think is actually a better name. And I'll tell you why. As a 55-year-old gay man growing up, in the 70s and 80s, coming out in the 80s and 90s, really actually coming out almost entirely in the 90s in my 20s, my path hasn't been particularly straightforward. And, we can watch happy shows these days like Heartstopper and Heated Rivalry. And, I think part of what I want to discuss is the fact that being queer in the late 20th century and the early 21st century is not always a path that contains straight lines. Maybe it almost never does, in fact. And so, what I envision here is a queer conversation that refuses to be simplified. Um, I'm looking for conversations about lived experience, how that matters more than just hot takes, although, I'm always open for a hot take, if you know what I'm saying. Um, I'd like to think that complexity beats any slogan that we could come up with, and that honesty isn't going to be softened so that it's more acceptable to any other people. I want it to be a conversation about people who didn't arrive in this place in their lives by the shortest path. Um, and who remember what came before and what they've had to do to get here. Oh, look, this is so fun. We've already got haters in the YouTube comments. Bye, bitch. If you think I am not going to ban your ass in the first second that you open your fucking mouth, you don't know me. Welcome. I am all out of fucks to give. That's literally what I'm talking about with the origin of this show. Um, I think this show exists to tell the truth, and sometimes that truth is about a life that is lived sideways or backways or goes in loop to loops. It isn't straightforward. Um, so if you want to hear people talking really plainly about queer life and culture and politics and aging and relationships and work and power and survival without chasing approval or sanitizing reality, please come here every Monday and listen to the conversations I'm going to be having. I hope that we can bring humor and skepticism and real memory into these conversations, and so that they are three-dimensional and vivid and living, and that everyone you meet on these Mondays with me is going to be someone that will stick with you forever because they are speaking their authentic truth. and that was a lot of me talking, and I don't always love that. So I'm going to bring in my first guest. I am incredibly excited to have Aidan Wharton as my first guest. Aidan, welcome to Not Straightforward.
Hello. Thank you so much for
Hello.
having me.
It is my pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
Um, I would love it if, of course, I know who you are. I think that a lot of the people here in the chat know who you
Mm.
are, but just in case, I'd love it if you could introduce yourself to the crew.
Yeah, of course. My name is Aidan Wharton. I originally am from the Big Island of Hawaii. I actually think it's a great little tie-in to the title of this show, but I came out at the beginning of my senior year of high school. And I did it by posting a Facebook status update that said, "Let me get one thing straight. I'm not." So I feel like that just like fits in with the title of the show. I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
great.
Well, and I
Yeah.
love that because it kind of illustrates. Sorry, I'll definitely
No,
let you
please.
continue. I love it because you and I are very different generations, right? And I love that you were able to come out on a Facebook post, right? Like the thing that had me like riding on my bike at midnight through thunderstorms in South Florida, like weeping. You were just like, "Oh, I'm gonna update that on Facebook."
It was, I came out to my parents, friends, and siblings. Like I came out to sort of groups and chunks, and then really remembered wanting to come out to like all of high school essentially. And I
Hmm.
was like, well, how can I do that in a way that people will understand, that it'll, gain traction, so that I didn't want to like have to come out over and over and over again. I just wanted to do it once and let it happen. And yeah, Facebook was the way to do that. But
Right.
even still, I remember like I changed my profile picture too to a rainbow flag because I didn't want people to think I had been like hacked or joking. And there was
Right.
all this like these new rules to follow.
Right. You really thought about it though. You really
Oh
like
yeah,
you were like, this is what I'm doing. Here's how I'm gonna do it. I've got a plan. And
always
Facebook
branding.
is my like mass communication message. And that was probably like peak Facebook too, right? Like
Mhm.
long enough ago that it was when Facebook was still
Still
cool.
cool. Yep, I think it was 2012. Yeah.
Nice.
Um, I had
But
also just met my first boyfriend, so I was like,
oh,
no one could touch me.
right, right. Yeah, seriously. I'm invincible. Young love has made
Mhm.
me impervious to pain.
Mhm.
Impervious. Well,
um,
tell the
yeah,
folks about what you're doing on Substack, and especially
yeah.
I know they want to hear about your new podcast.
Yes. Yeah, so like really quickly, the from high school to now, I went to school for musical theater, did a bunch of that, did some Broadway stuff, some film and TV, and then realized that writing was actually where my artistic endeavors wanted to direct me.
Mm,
And so I started a Substack in 2023 called Gay Buffet. And I really just used it as sort of a travel, not blog, but I was traveling the country doing the tour of Girl from the North Country. And I wanted to write about the queer history in each city that I went to, because I've
mm,
always loved queer history. And then I started raising money for a queer nonprofit in each city again through that. But it was like 300, 400 people max. And there was no growth. I didn't try to, work the Substack algorithm.
right.
Came back right around the election in 2024, and the writing started to get a little more political. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I really quickly realized that Substack was this incredible community space. And once my unemployment ran out, I was like, well, shit, what am I going to do? I need money. So let me turn on monetization and see what happens. And the response was so overwhelmingly wonderful that it just like completely pivoted my life in a way that I wasn't really prepared for.
Mm,
And it got me a literary agent. It got me some incredible connections like you. And I was trying to figure out what the next level of the process looked like. And a ton of people had always said that I should start a podcast. And I was like, no, everyone has a podcast. Like,
right.
I can't just be like another person starting a podcast.
Right.
And
A gay man starting a podcast? How revolutionary.
ooh. And so I really had to sit with my thoughts and figure out what I really wanted to say. And over the course of a couple months, I realized that everything that I wrote about and everything that I sort of felt passionate about over the past decade or so had been connection.
Mm.
And I also am an avid tech lover. And so to me, I started being able to see so much about the patterns in the technology that we use and how those are actually decreasing our connection. And so rather than just be another gay with a podcast, I thought, I want to be able to find incredible people who are really deeply knowledgeable about what they're talking about connection, and be able to give that information and that knowledge to my listeners. I've always been a fan of like the Tim Ferriss show and Diary of a CEO and the Mel Robbins show,
Right.
which are sort of this combination between like science and self-help. And I thought, I haven't really found that in the queer space. So can I have, we had like Jay Harrison G, who won the Tony for Best Leading Actor Performer, but was the first one to do it in a leading category as a non-binary person. And so having them tell their story, and a fitness CEO to talk about how he builds community through fitness, queer community through fitness. And this coming week, tomorrow, actually, I have my husband on. We're talking about our relationship and our openness and those rules.
Nice.
And just, it's been like this really incredible time. But then the most exciting is that last week I had on Ellie Leonard, who is just a gem. Ellie's the best. And we, she came over, we recorded on Friday, the day that all the new Epstein files were released.
Wow. Yeah.
And, she has done so many news appearances, but I was like, I don't want to hear about what's in the files and like the day-to-day of what you do. I want to hear how it impacts you, how it impacts your family, how it impacts your relationships, and how everyone who has tuned out the news, because it's insane, can get the knowledge and the wisdom from you to actually start tuning back in again. And that episode, it was our 4th episode, and it did break into the top 1% of podcasts in the world.
Dude, that is incredible. Congratulations. That is so cool.
It's been a really wild ride, and we're just starting.
Nice. Yeah, Ellie's amazing. I get to work with her over at Blue Ant Media. She launched a show on Friday that had huge turnout and has done great numbers. So, she's a phenom. Everybody loves Ellie.
The best.
Yeah.
There's something about her energy too that just like brings so much joy to what is objectively a terrible line of work that she has to do.
Right.
And so that was really what interested me.
Yeah, I feel like she centers it from almost like a mom perspective, right? Of like a horrible wrong was done, and now I'm just going to mom the shit out of this until justice is available for these survivors, right? And it's such a like amazing, like grounded, in touch with the earth sort of, like Ellie's not woo particularly, but she feels very comforting in addressing a really, really hard topic. Yeah, that's so great. I'm really happy both for you and for her. That is a huge milestone on your 4th episode. I hope the sponsors are already beating down your door.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Nice. I mean, come on. There's got to be like lube companies and
I'm like,
vodka.
Yep. I'm on like a lot of dating apps, which is funny because it's like,
right.
We are building relationships, but it is also tech. So like, it's an interesting balance.
You're right. Yeah. And oh my God, there's no shortage of new gay dating apps. It seems like there is a very recent explosion of like, you should try blah, blah, blah. The blowers.
Yep.
Okay.
There's so many. And I don't know if you saw, but Grindr is now like really trying to enhance their app with the AI wingman for upwards of $500 a month, which is crazy.
That is absolute insanity. Yeah. If I want someone to ghost me 30 minutes before he's supposed to get here, I don't need AI to help me with that.
No. And somebody was like, at $500, I would just hire an escort. Like,
honestly, at $500, yeah, for sure. I'd be like, you know what? I'm just going to go get a top.
Yeah. It's like, okay, thank you. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, So the theme that I wanted to talk about today, and you heard me talking about this in the intro, I was originally thinking that the name of this podcast was going to be Ask Me How I Know, which
Mhm.
in my mind, what that means is like hard won knowledge, right? Like something that
Mhm.
you have learned or discovered, and it took a crazy circumstance or like a pickaxe and night vision goggles to like figure it out. Um, and and instead of it being the name of the podcast because
Mhm.
it was taken, um, I decided it's just going to be the theme for the first several weeks. I mean, I don't know, maybe forever, because it's such a good way to kind of unpack the queer experience, I think. I mean, I don't know about you, but my life has been very much kind of figuring some shit out on my own. There
Yeah.
wasn't really anybody to teach me anything. It's been a lot of like, oh, well, yeah, I figured out how to do that, but only after I made a complete fool of myself, like
Yep.
so so the topic, ask me how I know. I put it out there when we were communicating via email and text. I was like, hey, this is the topic. I think I'm going to talk about my recent experience with a doctor and kind of reflect on gay doctors. And you said, oh, can I do that too? Because you've got some sort of ask me
So
how I know
many.
knowledge from experiences with doctors. So, uh, being the generous soul that I am, Aidan, I'd love it if you wanted to kick the conversation off. And what is your ask me how I know from gay medical care
Yeah.
experience?
I mean, I feel like I have actually like so many,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And I say that knowing that all of them have really taken place in New York. And so even though there is so much care here and queer care,
Hmm.
it's been really fascinating. But my ask me how I know is actually fascinating because I'm also working on a piece right now with a prep company called Freddie. And so I actually wrote this maybe like 2.5, 3 days ago, right before you sent it. And I was like, whoa, we are in
Simpatico.
conjunction here.
Nice.
So this probably was 2 months ago. And it wasn't like a huge issue. It just like really sort of woke me up to the difference in time. And I got a text from someone I had hooked up with maybe a month ago. And he said, hey, I tested positive for gonorrhea. I think you're probably fine, but just I want to be a responsible sexual citizen. And I was like, yeah, of course. Thank you so much for telling me. I popped on my jacket and I went to this new clinic because CityMD had too long of a line. And I'm the only person in there. I'm waiting. The nurse comes in and he's asking like all of the sexual health questions, which do always sort of seem laced with a little bit of moral judgment.
Oh, for sure. How many
Yeah.
partners have you had in the last 30 days? Well, I
Hmm.
mean, I'm going to tell you, but you better be
Yeah,
ready for my answer.
exactly. I'm like, it's the how many partners, what gender, are you receptive or penetrative? But I'm like,
Oh,
ugh. And like, I have a gay primary care provider,
yeah.
which I was like, oh, I miss him. And so then he gets to the point of, do you use protection? And in my head, I was like, okay. I said, yes, I do. I am on prep and I take doxypep. And then there was just this silence.
Right. I want to
And I was like,
say for the audience, what Aiden answered
yes.
is 100% correct. Prep and doxypep are absolutely prophylactic
Right.
medications and
Yeah.
totally legit. So fuck that dude for giving you the icy silence.
But I was like, okay, like part of me was having like a little bit of fun with it. So I was like, I know what he wants me to say. So like let the silence sit for a little bit. And then I was like, and no, I rarely use condoms. And he like was like, okay, type.
Oh my
The
god.
doctor came in and did the exact same thing. And again, it wasn't a huge aha moment. They didn't like make me feel terrible, but I was really shocked by the fact that they weren't using the language that they actually wanted to use, And it was a sign that we've come so far that I'm like, those are actually like perfectly valid measures of protection.
Absolutely.
And the medicine just hasn't caught up yet. And then I was having lunch with a friend and told him this, and he was talking about just like how much of a miracle these are as well, and how the gay community sort of just glossed over how incredible these drugs are,
Yes.
and how we really just went from it being such a real, huge, terrible problem to like, wow, now I can go and do whatever I want so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many points there we could unpack, Aidan. I'm
We're
not
in
sure
it.
which direction I
It's so
want to
great.
go in. I'm going to start here. Aidan and I were having a conversation before the show started about, help me out, chat. The dude who was a
Right.
writer for Whoopi Goldberg. He's kind of got a blonde bob and dresses in
Like a caftan.
caftans, right? And like has a smoker's voice. And there's a
Mhm.
famous clip of him where he's like, "So my mother was Jehovah's Witness, right?" And so he like goes on this crazy tangent, and at the end of it, you're like, "What the fuck did I just watch? What is his
Yeah.
name? I cannot. I think he's on the new Hollywood Squares. Um, Someone put it in the chat. That's how we're going to crowdsource that information.
Mhm.
But here's an interesting kind of perspective difference because you and I are from different generations, Aidan.
Yeah.
Like when I was coming up and coming out, the AIDS epidemic was kind of at its peak, right? It
Right.
was still absolutely rampant. Condoms were the only form of protection that was actually the thing that we got. Sir Bruce Valanche. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
chat.
Thank you, Yanni. Bruce Valanche. That is the name. you know, but like, I mean, I remember being a younger gay man and going to the doctor and, kind of confessing, coming out as
Yeah.
being gay and getting the judgment, the silence, well, do you use protection? And sort of saying, yes, I use condoms, and getting at that time, well, really the only truly safe sex is abstinence. And I was like, you people are absolutely fucking delusional if you think the answer you're giving to millions of gay men is just don't have sex.
Right.
Yes. Okay, that's fine. I want you to try that with any straight person, any straight man. Please kindly go tell him. I mean, I guess the Christian church does tell that all the time. And
Yeah, look how well that works.
right, we see how well that works. Exactly. Um but yeah, it is important to note for the community at large that these drugs are a miracle, right?
Yeah.
Like PrEP, for people who don't know, is a daily pill. There's several different forms of it. There's Descovy, and then there's an older kind of
Truvada.
Truvada. Thank you. I couldn't remember the brand name there for a second. And it is a miracle because if
Yeah.
you take this pill daily, as directed, it doesn't matter if you have sex, unprotected sex, as a receptive partner with somebody who's HIV positive, because there's a high nines, like 99 point high nines percent chance that you will be prevented from contracting the virus. It is an absolute game changer. It is one of the things that, until the Trump regime came along, had global experts thinking that we could potentially get AIDS under control globally and eliminate it as a disease within the
Right.
rest of my lifetime, certainly, Aidan, within your lifetime. We've lost that progress. Thank you, Donald Trump. But they are miracle drugs. And it's interesting, right? Because one of the things that's happened in the gay community is unprotected sex is, or what we would formerly have called unprotected sex. I'm catching myself, right? Old
Well, no,
programming runs deep.
yes, but I also would have called it that, and only hearing you say it just now, I was like, well, right, it technically is now protected sex,
Right. Right.
Or like condomless sex sounds also so clinical,
Right.
We're
Yeah.
in this weird middle period.
Right. Condomless sex, kind of begs other questions,
Right.
like, why is there no condom?
Right. Because it feels good. And
Oh my God. Yeah, no. For the record, and yell at me if you want to, I literally don't care. Having sex with a condom absolutely sucks. I know for many reasons it is necessary in certain cases, but like,
Mhm.
please God, give me an uncondomed dick when
Happy
I'm
Monday
being
morning, everyone. This is where I want
fucked.
to be.
Like I said, we're not going to sugarcoat things here. This is an honest conversation. Like
Yeah.
I don't like topping with a condom. I don't like bottoming to somebody who's wearing a condom. It's
Yeah.
not that I won't do it, but yeah, what we would call raw sex is
Mhm.
incredibly fulfilling feeling, and
Intimate.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is more intimate for sure.
Right.
For sure. Um, so thank you for sharing that
Yeah,
story.
of
That was
course.
like the perfect sort of segue into this topic. Um, and the reason that it kind of came to me, why this should be sort of the introductory "Ask Me How I Know," is I had a really interesting experience just this past Friday. For people who haven't noticed, I have these. Oh no, I'm backwards.
There we go.
Lovely splotches on my face. I went to the dermatologist, a new dermatologist, because I've only been in Fort Wayne, Indiana, for 2 years. I hadn't yet gone to see one. I found one very close to me, very nice looking office, good practice. And, I was concerned about both these spots on my face and also, uh, thanks to my now ex boyfriend, who I have learned was maybe perhaps not as honest with me as we would have liked. Uh, I had an itchy spot on my butt, and I was like, is that warts? Like, that was freaking me out, right?
Right.
And so I was like, okay, dermatologist, right? I can get both of these things looked at and taken care of. And so I signed up, and of course, on the form they ask you what you're going to see them for. Well, I get into the office, and this dude comes in, and Aidan, seriously, man, he's like 6'5", blonde hair, blue eyed. Looks like a linebacker, not a linebacker. Looks like a quarterback,
A tight end.
absolutely gorgeous skin, right?
Yeah.
Like, giant, huge hands. I mean, just literally, I would have melted, except for the fact that he's wearing an enormous golden cross on a
Mm.
chain around his neck. Not judging anybody's religion, but I do think it's a little weird when people feel like they have to advertise. And he's wearing it
Especially in
out,
like your place of work.
right? Like, the thing that immediately hit me was, did he read in my file that I'm a gay man here to
Right.
like see if I've got butt warts, and he's putting his cross on the outside because he wants me to know that, don't hit on the cute doctor. I'm just like, bro, come on, like,
Yeah.
don't be gross. Um, and it was a really interesting experience because I came away from that feeling judged, right?
Mhm.
And he asked me some of the questions, like, oh, do you think you got this from exposure? And I was like, yes.
That's
Yes,
why
in
I'm here.
fact. I don't know, because my
Right.
now ex-partner apparently can't be trusted. So it just was this whole weird interaction where I immediately flash back to, being in college, right?
Mhm.
And being told that I couldn't donate blood because I was a man who had had sex with a man
Yep.
within the last 7 years, right? Or going to a doctor the first time that I was worried, that I had contracted HIV and needed an HIV test. So it was just this really interesting ask me how I know. For me, because I lived in Seattle for 30 years and LA for 2 years, I had gay doctors. I
Right.
know what the experience is like when you can go into your doctor and just say, yeah, no, I had 30 sexual partners in the last month. And,
Mhm.
through these experiences, and, yes, I bottomed a bunch and blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And to have the doctor sort of not bat an eyelash and say, okay, well, we're going to do, we're going to screen for this and this, and we're going to, do this, and here's this cream and ointment. And just to be safe, maybe we're going to give you the shot, whatever. And so that was kind of how this idea came to my mind of, it's hard to explain sometimes, I think,
Yeah.
the difference. What has it been like for you, Aidan, like finding a gay doctor to go to, and kind of like, did you have that contrast of having gone to straight doctors and then finding a gay doctor?
Yeah. I've like always hated the doctor. I think it comes from growing up again, like in a small town, and just like everyone knew everyone. And so something about the doctor just like never really sat great with me.
Yeah.
And then I had a really bad hypochondria. So I would get like really anxious and I was like, I'm sure I'm dying. So let me just go to the doctor. But then they're like, you're fine. And I was like, no, but something's really wrong. So like I don't trust doctors very
Hmm.
much. And I have always had sort of like a weird back and forth. But then I had a really good primary care provider who all of my friends loved, and she was a straight woman, but exceptional. And then she left the practice, and her patients got all spread to other doctors, and I got assigned to this lovely gay doctor, Dr. Kint. And my prep nurse is also gay. So he was always gay. He's the one I see every 3 months. I see Dr. Kint every year. And it just truly was such a game changer to have someone who wasn't afraid to talk about things in the way that I talk about them. It wasn't receptive or passive. It was top and bottom. It was like we could joke about sex. We could talk about sex. I could ask him any question I wanted. And I was with him for a year. I'm still with him. But then when I went on tour again, I had like another STI text and I was in Salt Lake City and I had to find a
Uh-oh.
clinic that took my insurance. And I just remember going in and I was like, I'm having to doctor the doctor here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm having to tell him what I need. I'm having to be like, no, I need all 3 swabs for all 3 spaces. I'm not just going to pee in a cup, or all 2 swabs and the cup. And I do think a lot of times, if you have experience with a gay doctor or gay medical people, you do have to then like tell people what you need. Like, even like every time I go to the city MD, it's like, I need all the 3 swabs. I need all of these things. Like, I actually know what I'm doing
Right.
far more than you do. And it is just a really strange dynamic that's created.
Yeah, absolutely. And what really stuck out to me, Aidan, is the comment that you made about being a hypochondriac, right?
Oh,
Because I
yeah,
I am not sure that you are. I think you're just a gay dude in this society. You
sure.
know, like
It's gotten much better. It was really bad
me
beginning of
too.
college and COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean I think there's a sense maybe that I could be classified as OCD when it comes to
Sure.
medical stuff
Mm-hmm.
because growing up, in, kind of coming of age as a gay man in the 90s at the peak of the AIDS epidemic, the number of times that I've been convinced I was going to die
Yeah.
because I had sex with a dude who came on my hand right where I had a scratch, right? And
Yeah.
like, oh my God, a virus got through. Like one virus got through and found a lymph node, and I'm gonna seroconvert any moment, or you take a load and you
Right.
know, and the guy, later says something or texts you or whatever. Like I've had an exposure, and suddenly the mind goes crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
even sure. I'm not
No,
even sure that.
I think
Go
that's a
ahead.
really good point that I hadn't thought about. Right. I didn't get on prep until I moved to New York in 2017. So and the only reason I did is that I had a friend who had moved here the year before. And as soon as I got here, he's like, hey, this is what you have to do. Here's how I'm going to help you get it. Here's where you go. Like, let me really take care of you in that way. But I remember having plenty of scares, and it wasn't even as like concrete as, oh, here's an actual instance. It's just like, I'm waiting for the test results to come back. And I did have unprotected sex, raw sex with somebody.
Right.
And who knows, And I don't know if I ever have thought about it in that context. But I
Yeah.
definitely think that, yeah, it's like, sex is supposed to be this really wonderful, intimate, connected thing that brings people together. But yeah, since the 80s, so the past 40 years, it has meant something completely different to gay men. And when I came out and when my husband came out, like both of our moms, from a loving place of concern, we're still like, I'm worried now.
I think that is such a good point, and I
Yeah.
really want to stay on it for a moment because
Yeah.
it's exactly that, right? Like when I came out to my mom, I got the same reaction. I got the "I love you, and now I'm afraid you're going to get AIDS and die,"
Right.
right? And that is kind of an impossibly hard burden to carry. Like the love of your family, your parents, and even if they are comfortable with the idea of being gay or coming around to it and on their path, suddenly you're carrying the worry of other people in addition
Right.
to your own worry, and it is a hard burden. And And sex for gay men has been a thing for the last 40 years, exactly like you just said, that isn't just about joy.
Right.
It is and about connection. Like I've jokingly said in the past that, if we didn't have to worry about HIV, gay men would be the like bonobo monkeys of the world, right? Like the bonobo monkeys are sort of famous not just for fucking everybody all the time, but they have these incredibly rich social interactions and social connections.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know what your experience has been, but as like a daddy bear, right? As like a dude who looks like this and, is in the bear community, I can literally go to any city in the world and there's a bear bar that I can go to. I will instantly make a dozen friends, probably hook up with somebody,
Right.
right? And then immediately get like the insider's tour of Berlin or
Yeah.
Rome or wherever I happen to be. And then have, somebody's email address or text number or whatever, so that I can communicate with them on into the future, sort of building a network of like we really could take over the world, like if we just
Yeah.
didn't have to worry about we could
Yeah.
absolutely be like, everybody calm down. The gay dudes are taking over. We know everybody everywhere.
It is wild. And like
Yeah.
you look at in 2021, was it 21 or 22? Like monkeypox, right?
Right.
Monkeypox, we all got the same information. They said, hey, this is what's happening. These are the people who are susceptible, and this is how we're going to fix it. And I remember being in line the first day that the vaccines were available in New York, and the line stretched down like 4 blocks.
Yeah.
And I was like, see, we're not like fighting about masks. We're not saying it's fake. We, as gay men in that moment in time and queer people, we're like, okay, great. This is what we need to do. We can get a shot. We can take care of each other. And then let's just keep going.
Right. Yes.
And it was like
Aidan,
squashed so quickly.
I, yeah. I like to say, do you remember the great monkeypox pandemic of 2021, 2022? You
No.
don't. You don't. And you know why? It's because literally every fucking gay man that you know went and got in line and
Yep.
maybe fibbed on the form and said that he was a slut and needed to, immediately get the monkeypox vaccine. And we all got the vaccine, both doses,
Yeah.
all of
I
us.
had the little scar on my wrist for like a
Right.
year and a half.
There is no monkeypox pandemic because we squashed it from the very beginning, because we all did the right thing, because we've been trained by
Right.
HIV and, living in this modern world. So you're welcome, straight people.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question for you that I think.
Ooh, I love it. All right. The tables
Sort
are
of
being
fits.
turned.
Well, because I feel like, right, we are in a, I don't know, I wouldn't go as far to say like post-AIDS world, but there
Mm-hmm.
is a big difference between the gay generations who have had to experience AIDS in different ways.
Yeah.
And I feel like there could be very soon like this return to the bonobo situation. And a lot of young people, I would say especially younger than me, I think I'm probably right on the cusp, like have never been sexually active without PrEP.
Right.
And they've never had to think about it. And there's a big conversation. I need to look it up. There was a great piece in the Queer Love Project about this, about the weight of respecting the AIDS crisis and the wish for younger generations to not have to be burdened in the same way that the older generations were.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just love to know like your feelings about that. It's sort of a broad question, but just what your thoughts are on sort of the difference in how each generation deals with HIV and AIDS and sort of what we owe to each other.
Yeah. It's a great question. I really appreciate you asking it. The place that my mind goes is Dana and I, on the show, talk a lot about kind of generational trauma and
Mhm.
intergenerational trauma. And, I have this really strong belief that like our job as people, as humans incarnate
Yeah.
on this planet, is to prevent trauma from being passed generation to generation, right?
Mm.
Like someone who grows up in an abusive household or somebody who's experienced, sexual violence or, childhood sexual assault, like that's horrible.
Right.
And your job, I think, as a person is to find your healing path and do it so that you're making sure that that trauma is not passed on to your kids or your nieces or nephews or whoever. And so from that perspective, like, my wish as a gay man is I absolutely would love to ensure that the generations that come after me don't have to endure the pain and the hardship and the questioning and the late nights, crying yourself to sleep,
Right.
and the 2 weeks spent thinking, oh my God, nothing matters. I'm going to die anyway. Oh, I got my test results. Everything's fine. I guess I should finish that term paper. you know, like,
Yeah.
like, my God, yes, I would love that. And also, you know, I would appreciate it if there were memory, right? If there were, I don't need honoring or statues or whatever, but just an awareness, because I think the one thing that we have learned, at least in my lifetime, is that we can't predict what's coming next, right? Like
Sure can.
COVID, right? Trump and COVID and monkeypox, like, who knows? Like, can we defeat AIDS and HIV? Absolutely, we can. With the science, and if we put our minds to it, and if we fund it, we can.
Yeah.
Does that mean there isn't going to be some other wackadoodle thing that's going to come along that could potentially require us as a community and as a people to pull together and work the way that we did with monkeypox to, you know, so you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to
Yeah.
learn from the past and not pass the trauma on, but also, like, my God, if we could get to a point where we could all fucking go to a rave and fuck until, dawn, like, bring back
Yeah.
the good old Crisco discos that, like, the gay men older than me talked about. Yes,
Uh,
please sign me up. I want to go.
right. And to
I've
like
got my
pull it
portable
all
shower
the
shot. I will bring it with me wherever it is. I am in.
time.
I will
Like,
order the giant, gallon pump lube bottle off of Amazon.
mm-hmm. Which, and like, this makes me like, there's so many tangents here. Did you ever read at the end of last summer, there was a piece that came out in The Cut called "Have We Reached Peak Gay Sluttiness?"
Oh no, I haven't, but I'm gonna
It
have
like
to send me a
really,
link, or I'll go look
yeah,
for it because I need to read that.
it was really making the rounds in gay New York because it was an analysis of like the gay drug party culture.
Yeah,
And it really spawned a lot of questions about like, okay, well, now that we can sort of almost get back to that, what's the moral judgment? Who gets to do it? What's the access? And it became this
right.
like really interesting touch point. And a lot of people were upset because they thought that it portrayed a very small subset of the gay population, the affluent New York gay population,
Right.
as sort of this like broad scale stand-in for the entire community. But yeah, it just like, I think we are at such an interesting place, and everyone has such strong opinions about how everyone else should feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets spicy. I'm gonna put I just had to look up the article for this Queer Love Project, the link to the Queer Love Project article that
Oh,
is
amazing.
really
Thank you.
wonderful.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
brilliant. And I think our friend Karen Marie Shelton, who's never missed an episode of the Daily Whatever Show, is here monitoring the chat.
Yes.
I
She's the
just looked
best.
at the comments, and Derek said Lawrence thirsty. Girl, yes.
Yeah. And like,
I just broke up with my boyfriend 2 months ago. Have you not been paying attention?
I'm so
I live in
sorry.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's slim pickings out here.
Yeah.
It doesn't
And
matter how many apps you have installed on your phone if there's literally nobody.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like, we should all be so slutty, you know?
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean, and
it's
here's the thing.
yeah.
Like, my last 3 major relationships have all been open, right?
Mhm.
I think and I know you're very open about the fact that you and your husband are in an open relationship. I think I am probably more hardwired towards monogamy, or something that looks like traditional kind of loyalty in the context of a relationship, than not. But I also think that I am a bigger person and a better person because I have experienced that, right? Like, and
Right.
like I'm not saying that I want to go, like I don't want every weekend to be an all night party till dawn sex rave, right? But
Crisco
like,
Disco.
right, Crisco Disco. But like, would I go to one? For sure. Would I do that every weekend or most weekends or even more than maybe 2 or 3 times a year? Probably not. But
Right.
I'd love to have the option, right? So I'm gonna switch gears here, Aidan. You've been so fantastic, and this is an amazing conversation. I really feel like we could talk for another 10 hours on
Me
just
too.
this. Bad Bunny. What
Oh,
did you think?
so good. I just like, I just like, he just makes me like, so
Did you
happy.
cry? I cried.
I didn't cry, but that is probably because I was like, so we were in Baltimore last night at our friend's
Okay,
wedding. And as they were doing pictures, like a bunch of us were watching it on an iPhone. And then I
nice.
finished it this morning because Casey and I got home at 2 in the morning. So I was like, bed. I just was so hopeful. You know, I
Yeah,
thought here is one of the most contentious Super Bowl halftime shows in history that I can remember. Not because it should be, but because there are idiots on the other side, in my
hmm
honest opinion. And I just thought, like, look at how much joy there is. The dancing is incredible. When the runners came out with their flags, I was like, this
yeah,
is what the Americas look like.
right.
And I'm pretty sure it is on record to be the most watched Super Bowl halftime show in history. So
Yes,
that makes me very happy.
yeah. I literally wept, right? Like
Yeah.
the vibe, the love, the emotion that came through. Like I don't speak Spanish, I speak very like gringo Puerto Vallarta
Mhm.
tourist Spanish,
Yeah. Enough to
and
get around.
what's that?
Enough to get around.
Right, enough to get around. Yeah. And so like I caught words and I understood the gist, but like if you watched that and you didn't feel joy, I don't think you have a soul, right? Like it was beautiful. Like I came away from that thinking like fuck yeah, Puerto Rico is part of the United
Right.
States, right? and
And who
and
wouldn't want it to be?
right, and why wouldn't you want it to be exactly? And um and yes, that like kind of flag parade at the end where he's like chanting off the names of every Western Hemisphere
Right.
country, right? Like, oh my god, like I saw that and I was like, right, yes, like why aren't we a Western Hemisphere coalition of
Right.
multilingual, beautiful, passionate, diverse people? Why aren't we that?
Fear and bigotry
Right,
and,
right. The
you know,
patriarchy, right? Like and
shitty
racism, just
and
writ
capitalism.
large.
I, like,
Right,
never
and
thought I would be an
capitalism.
anti-capitalist, but in
Yeah.
the last, like, year or 2, I'm just like, that is really the root, you
Honestly,
know?
I I didn't ever, yeah, I don't know that I would have called myself an anti-capitalist before these last, maybe 16 months, but
Yeah.
I'm fully there now, right? Like someone figure out what comes next after capitalism and I'm in because this is
Yeah.
not working. This unfettered, unrestricted, exploit everybody, sorry AI put 9 million people out of work yesterday capitalism.
Oh,
Fuck that.
it's
Just no
yeah,
good.
I know. I mean, I would say New York, we'll see what happens with our democratic socialism. It's
Yeah.
going very well.
Yeah. What is the
Uh,
vibe like there? Like after he took office, like was there a vibe shift like on was it election day? Was it the day he was inaugurated? Like what is the vibe?
it was both. Election day, like, again, like, the cheers that happened when it was announced, I think this is gonna date me as very young. I haven't been able to vote in an election that has gone well for me ever. And so this was the first one that I was like, "Whoa, something good has happened." And ooh, I'm gonna get teary. Um, he is such a public facing mayor. Like when the snowstorms happened, he was all over social media. He was all over the kiosks. He was telling everyone how to protect each other. He was taking care of the homeless people. He was out shoveling cars out of the snow. And he's getting so much stuff done. And to have someone who is like, I'm here for the people, he can't run for president. So it's not like he's trying to climb.
Right.
He's just really trying to do a good job for the people that he cares about. And he is from Astoria. So he's from our district. He was our councilman.
Nice.
And I remember the week after the election in 2024, I went to a town hall at the center, the LGBTQ center in the West Village, and I didn't know who he was, but he was there. And he, like, a bunch of politicians were there, and he was talking about taking care of the community. And I just remember being like, oh my God, that's my councilman? Cool. And now to see him be my mayor, and even as part of his election campaign, like, he talked about trans people, and he talked about Sylvia Rivera, and he talked about making New York a haven for all people.
Yeah.
And I just, like, even conversations with people who are like, well, I don't really think you can get anything done. Where's the money? I'm like, who cares? We are, like, so far beyond tearing people apart who are trying to do good things. Can't we just have someone who makes us hopeful and see where that goes? And I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, that point that you just made about the Sylvia Rivera ad, that ad where he was sitting on the docks and talking about how she lived and how she died and how she was murdered. And
I wept.
it was honestly one of the most honest and moving and sort of chilling but hopeful things that I had ever seen, where he was basically saying, to the trans world, to the trans community, to every trans person in the United States, like, come here, we will protect you. Like,
Right.
this is a place, like, we didn't do right by Sylvia because we didn't know, but come here because we know now. And as somebody who has many trans friends, I like I mean, I cry a lot.
Me
I'm a
too.
pretty squishy guy,
Me too.
I mean, there's a good like AT&T commercial that could make me fucking cry,
Mhm.
But yeah, that ad was really powerful, and it gave me like it. I feel like it was one of those revelations that allows you to see inside the heart of a candidate that that isn't really common these days.
Especially as so many candidates are turning away from our community just because they're told that that's what will appeal to moderate voters.
Right.
And I think in every single way, Mamdani is proving all of those things wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, some brilliant person from YouTube chat has said, I'm 53 years old. I live right outside of Boston. I've seen 2 transgender people into my entire life. 0.000 and then a long list of zeros, 1% of a population. I think maybe it's you. I think maybe it's you, friend, and not them. I think maybe they know not to come out to you.
I would say, like, look, even if someone is 0.00001% of a population, they deserve to be protected just
Absolutely.
like the other 99%.
They deserve the right to live and be happy and, yeah, fully express whoever they are. Yeah. How do you feel about the future, Aidan? What is your take on this next year?
Oh, that is such a
we're going easy here on Not Straightforward, man. This is the inaugural episode. We dig deep.
I see 2 possibilities, and I am hoping for the second. The first is this continued slide that we're on, right? I think I cannot separate politics from tech from money at this point, which is also why I wanted to start my podcast, because we are so controlled by these algorithms that we have no agency over, and they, in my opinion, are why we all hate each other right now.
Yep.
And AI, I think, really factors into this in a really strong way. I think it is eroding our critical thinking, and I think it is eroding our ability to sit with discomfort in the name of ease and speed. But I also think that we're going to get to a point where we will not be able to believe anything. I think we're, like, mostly there now, but with the advancements in AI and what AI will be able to do very shortly, we're just not going to be able to, like, trust anything on our phones. And my deep hope, which is also spawned by many conversations I've been having with people lately, is that is going to be sort of the impetus for people to make a lot of really big changes. I think AI is going to replace an insane amount of the workforce. People aren't going to be able to afford groceries. We're already not able to afford healthcare. And I think there is no way that we continue on this way without the lower classes realizing what is happening.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really hard and really awful. And I hope that we come out of it better.
I feel a really deep kinship to you right now because I absolutely 100% agree with that analysis. And it gives me hope to see other people coming to the same conclusions and articulating them. I, uh, I don't want this hour to end, and I'm looking at the fact that we've only got a couple minutes left. I can't thank you enough, Aidan, for being
Yeah.
here. I'm not like I want my
Yeah.
final
Yeah.
5 minutes. I'm
Of
not
course.
saying goodbye right now, but I
No.
really, really appreciate you. You make me proud as an older gay man, seeing a younger gay man who is living his life in an unapologetic, like full. I know I'm gonna cry too. Like I said, I could cry at anything. It honestly, it makes me so proud to see you and your husband having the experiences that you're having, and just being who you are, and sharing it with the world in a way that is honest and unvarnished and unrepentant, shall we say. it
Yeah.
it means a lot. Like I feel like this is what I survived for, right? Is I didn't have anybody to take the baton from, and I mean, my god, I'm not saying that I'm like the, passing on the baton to you or whatever, but I'm so fucking happy that there are men like you in this world who are standing up and doing what you do, because it absolutely makes a difference. If I flash back to the 16-year-old kid that I once was, I would have killed or died to see somebody like you talk about life in the way that you do. So thank you. Like I don't know that I can speak on behalf of. Oh, hang on, I'm getting a text from Gay High Command. I can, in fact, speak for the full Gay Council. Thank you. We're awarding you a FIFA Gay Peace Prize.
Oh my god! Yay! The most important Peace Prize.
Yeah, the check is in the mail. It really means a lot, and I am so grateful that you came here, that you were my first guest for this. I'm proud
Thank
of you,
you.
kid.
I grabbed the tissues because I'm sick and a little snuffy. I didn't think I was going to be crying, but I think I'm going to keep going. I have always had like a really strong, sort of inexplicable connection to gay history and queer history in a way that like wasn't accessible in high school, and a really big part of what I want to do is honor and give hope. And like I have Harvey Milk's "You Got to Give Him Hope" tattooed on my arm, so
I love it.
it really means a lot for me to hear that from you.
Yeah. Well, it's incredibly sincere. Thank you for what you're doing, and keep going. Like the Ellie episode was only your first of many top 1% episodes.
I hope so.
You know, I guess if you can't be a top 1% on OnlyFans, Apple Podcasts is the next best thing, right?
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Oh my gosh, Aidan, where can everyone find you? How can they follow along?
You can follow along at Aidan Wharton on Instagram, AIDAN. And then on Substack, I write Gay Buffet, which is a weekly gay culture and sex column, queer culture. I say queer culture, gay sex column. And then you can listen to Getting Close, a podcast about connection, anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Amazing. Here's one goofy last question. What microphone are you using? Because you've got a great speaking voice, but holy shit, your sound quality is amazing.
Thank you. It is the Audio Technica. I just got them because I have some real sound bounce issues in this apartment that I'm in. So I just had to get new ones because they are hypercardioid. So they just get here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is nice. Yeah. No, your sound is like impeccable.
Thank
I'm enough of a dork that I'm like,
Mhm.
his lighting is great and his voice sounds amazing.
I mean, I've got my lights set up. I've got the whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Aidan, thank you
Lawrence,
so much for taking the
thank
time to speak with
you.
me. This was absolutely incredible, and I can't thank you enough, man.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you everyone for letting me cry on live.
Yeah, hey, you know what? This is gonna happen on Not Straightforward. Where, I'm a big softie. Probably everyone I'm talking to is too. We're gonna
Yeah.
cry. Get used to it. We're
Great.
here. We're criers. Get used to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
great.
Have a wonderful
Yes.
rest of your day, and I
You
hope I
too.
get to talk to you again real soon.
Let's do it.
All right.
All
Take
right.
care. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Love you,
Bye,
Mina. Bye.
everyone.
Mwah. Mwah.